Hey, what's up guys, Mattshine here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we are going to be talking about the absolute chaos that is going on in the Steam market right now as people are starting to rush to make their investments. Now we're going to be looking at the date, which is February 20th, if you do not know already, and this is going to be the end of Riptide and partially the reason we're starting to see a lot of people rush to make their investments now. We're going to be looking at what the end of Riptide is going to be bringing, along with the potential that goes along with this. We're going to look at Broken Fang, see how that ended after the operation, and what really are we looking for here moving forward. But before we hop on into it, if you guys are looking to pick up any CSGO skins or possibly some investments, I've got a couple links down in the description below, but let's hop on into it. First up here, we obviously have to mention the end of Operation Riptide. This is where the majority of the hype is coming from. Now, when we look back at Broken Fang, we can see that right after the operation ended, we started to see a lot of hype and a lot of money pouring into some different investments. Looking at the breakout case here, you can see how much it went up from the end of Operation Broken Fang till about a month after, where that hype started to fall off. However, this one is very interesting because we cannot really determine if this was the actual end of Broken Fang that did it, or if this was the summer hype. We've seen summer hype over the past couple years, and this is something that we're expecting to see again this year, honestly. It's not something that you should be banking on to make profit, however, it's something that you should definitely be looking out for. Now, we're obviously seeing the hype all over, however, it's mainly affecting a couple big areas. Obviously, you got your stickers. A lot of the desirable stickers are increasing significantly in value just because these stickers are going to be discontinued. That's the next big thing, is the quantity is really going to be stopped for everything, which is something very important when we look at the highly demanded items like some of those stickers. You've got your Miami Tier 6. It looks a really incredibly good sticker, honestly. It's very cool. Not worth the price point at this moment, at least according to myself. I don't think it's that expensive of a sticker. I think it's gone a little bit over what it's worth, but that's what happens when we see a lot of people doing some FOMO investing. They think that this sticker could potentially go higher. They're not investing into it because they want to apply the sticker, and therefore this is something that we're kind of seeing with Cattle 15s. Now, Cattle 15s are very cool stickers, however, there's not enough demand for the price point that it keeps moving at to keep increasing the way it has been. It's a lot of people investing into it, hoping that it's going to be the next Cattle 14. That was a little bit of a tangent there. However, moving on into the Riptide case. Now, the Riptide case is very interesting because it's going to be joining an elite group of cases. It's going to be the 6th discontinued case, other than the esports cases, the Shattered Web case, and the Broken Fang case. All of those are the other discontinued cases here. The Riptide case theoretically should rise in price. However, we saw with the Broken Fang case that just because something is discontinued doesn't mean it's going to rise in price. Now, the Broken Fang case is a pretty bad thing to take examples from. However, you can take an example in this context because we're talking about it going down. We've got one of the most desirable cases right now, which is the Broken Fang case, because of that M4A1S print stream, and we're looking at it going down. Therefore, it's showing that pretty much any discontinued case can go down. We've seen it with Shattered Web. Shattered Web's got some pretty cool knives and skins inside of it, and yet it's still struggled over time. So nothing is guaranteed here, especially looking at the Riptide case. I think it's going to be a very cool thing. However, it's got a lot riding on it. After that, we got to talk about new things because it's very interesting what we're seeing with the Dreams and Nightmares case. The Dreams and Nightmares case was quite odd. It's only the second time in history where we've had an announcement about a case. The other time was the CS20 case, which you could reasonably assume there was probably going to be a case for the year's 20th anniversary. I mean, that is absolutely crazy for a video game to be popular that long. However, this kind of points to a different factor, that we might see another case at the end of Operation Riptide here, and that would propel most likely one of the active duty cases into the rare drop pool. Now, personally, I'm still looking at the clutch case. I think it's very odd that the Danger Zone case went. However, that was most people's second guess. My prediction, however, is we might see something like a clutch 2 case. We've seen in the past that CSGO really likes to replicate what's going right for them. The clutch case right now is still one of the most demanded cases when we look at unboxing charts, and therefore I think there's definitely definitely a possibility we could see a second iteration of this. We saw it with Chroma, we saw it with Spectrum, we saw it with Prisma, and we saw it with Gamma. So I think there's lots of different cases we can look at and then come back and look at the Clutch case. The Clutch case is definitely one legendary case, and I think there's probably going to be a follow-up of it at least sometime in the future. Building off that as well, the fact that the Dreams and Nightmares case came out with the Riptide knives shows to me that there's probably going to be a new case with a different item inside, a different rare special item. We saw when the Prisma 2 case released during an operation, it didn't contain the operation exclusive item. Therefore, we could reasonably assume that that might be coming back. Now, this was the time when we didn't know if it was going to come back or not. This was during Operation Shattered Web. However, now that we've seen this past trend coming back, I think we can reasonably assume here that if we do get a new case, it's not going to contain the Riptide items, but rather something brand new or potentially reused. And in my case, I think it's probably going to be the Clutch case reused, and therefore get a Clutch 2 case or something named different but still containing the rare special item of the Clutch case. After that, we got to talk about majors, but we're not going to talk about the specific major yet. We're going to be talking about what maps are played at the major, and this is the last chance Valve has to put in brand new maps. Now, this might sound weird. You're thinking the major's 3 months out. However, Valve is not going to introduce a map to the active duty rotation of maps, the 7 that are currently in there, and they're not going to do that 2 months before a major. I think that's very unrealistic to think that they're only going to give the professional people that are really getting the most publicity for Counter-Strike right now. I mean, we saw how many viewers Stockholm pulled in. I think it's very unrealistic that they'll give them only a month or two. This, in my eyes, is the last chance Valve has to make a huge change, and I think it's definitely a possibility that they might do so. In my eyes, the only way we do not get a brand new map is if we are going to get an operation that comes before the next major, and that's going to contain those major maps like we saw this time with Riptide. We'll see maybe an overpass, a cache, and a cobblestone. Something like that. 3 brand new 2022 operations collections, and that's something that could potentially be on the table there. Overall though, personally, I think there's probably going to be at least one map change here. We might see Train reintroduced. I think that's the obvious choice here. Why did we get a Train 2021 collection if Train's not going to be in the active duty rotation? They could have chose any map, however they chose Train, but it can really go whatever way you want. That's just speculative. However, to me, I think there's probably a decent sized chance that we are going to see a new map there. However, that's still speculative. And that's really going to be it for you thought this day has got more to come. Honestly, I still got 2 things left on my list. First up, we got an M4A4 buff or an M4A1S debuff or a nerf. I think there's going to be some change brought to the M4A1S. I think it's probably going to be upgraded back to 3100. I think it's going to be the exact same thing as what we saw before with the AUG Apocalypse, where we saw the AUG taking over and they raised the price and it was still the dominant gun. I think that's exactly what's going to happen here with the M4A1S, and therefore we might see some M4A1S prices drop, or potentially we could see the M4A4 prices go up. I think this is something that's been long overdue and something I don't think they're going to head into the next major with, and 3 months is a perfectly capable timeline for Valve to do something like this. They've got more than enough time for these players to adapt, especially at the professional level, and I think this is something that I could honestly and realistically see moving forward. And then the last thing I have on my list is new growth. I think there's probably going to be some new growth no matter what after this operation ends. We're going to see all that money that was being put into the operation being put elsewhere, and that's most likely going to be in something like cases. I think we're going to see some of the more commonly invested cases rise, probably some breakout cases, probably some glove cases. If I did have to make predictions, I think those are going to be the ones that go up in price. A trend we've seen is that, especially with Riptide, we've seen a lot of prices struggle to go up significantly and keep that gains during the span of an operation. I think that was really shown here with Riptide, and I think now that Riptide is coming to an end, at least prospectively, I mean hopefully, I don't think there's really any reason for them to extend Riptide here other than to like Monday or Tuesday. I don't see why it would end on a Sunday. I think that's kind of odd, but that's really besides the point. The big point here is I think we're going to see a lot of prices rise. We might see some Riptide cases go up pretty significantly after the operation is pulled, and then most likely down to a similar level of what they were at beforehand. But that is actually really all I have for today, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Are you investing into all the different Riptide items? I'm very interested because I put out a poll and it was really split 50-50 if people were investing into Riptide and if people were just staying away entirely. I think Broken Fangs let a really bad taste into a lot of people's mouths on investing in operations, but that's really all I have for today, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.